get into the Forsberg 4, and I'm hoping that those positive vibes, we're going to carry those right into it.
And I'm going to do my best. So what we're giving you in this week's Forsberg 4 is 4 reasons to stay positive after a gut punch loss in which the Celtics should have taken care of business but didn't. But we start with number 1, which is 127.8. That was the Celtics' offensive rating in Game 1. It's a phenomenal number if you didn't give up 133.7 on the defensive end. And so one of the things I did take away is the Celtics' offense for the first half of that game was pretty much historic. Shot 71% from the floor. Should have been up by more than 3 at the break if they played a little bit of defense. But without Joel Embiid out there, the Celtics got whatever they wanted at the basket, 11 for 11 at the rim. I think this bodes well for the series in general. There's going to be an opportunity for the Celtics to score when they want to until Embiid is healthy, and maybe even when Embiid is back. We don't know what version of that is going to exist. So for me, it comes down to, much like that Hawks series, when the Celtics don't fumble away the ball, when they take care of it and move it and try to make good offense, they can score at will. I will take great solace in the fact that as long as they play some semblance of defense, Tommy Giles, they should be winning these games.
Okay, yeah, and the offensive ratings, you pointed out, much of that was in the first half. Just like to carry that over as well into the final few minutes. What do you got for number 2?
Number 2. I finally did it. It took me like 74 weeks on this program, but we finally lined up the numbers. Number 2, that is the number of times the Celtics have come back from a letdown this postseason and redeemed themselves. And so what do we see? After Game 3 against Atlanta, they have a letdown. They make it a series 2-1 down there. The Celtics go take care of business. Come back. Game 5 doesn't tip your way, but in Game 6, they rebound. So here's my thing. I've heard a lot of people on the Twitter box are upset with Joe Mazzulla. What is he doing? Doesn't have this team engaged. Got to go get Ime Udoka again. Do we not remember that the last 3 Celtics coaches have dealt with this fluctuation in intensity? And it's all about how they respond. And now Joe doesn't go about it the same way that Ime does and call the players out publicly, but behind closed doors, we continue to hear that he is as firm as they can be, and they have responded this postseason. So as much as it drives me nuts that they continue to play with their food and put themselves in this position, I'm eager to see the response. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, we all came into the series, we said Celtics in 6. We knew they were going to make it difficult. They just made it more difficult than it was supposed to be right out the gates. I will be encouraged, or I'm remaining encouraged by the fact that they should bounce back in Game 2.
You said Celtics in 6. By the way, we're going to go over some numbers coming up in a little while. Why you might feel even better about Celtics in 5. What do you got for number 3 here on the Forsberg?
Number 3 is 10, and that's the percentage of Philadelphia shots that came at the rim in Game 1. It's an absurdly low number. Now, it makes some sense, though, right? No Joel Embiid out there. You're relying on perimeter shots, and they shot it great, like James Harden, Tyrese Maxey. Even Melton got going early. They were able to take advantage of Boston's perimeter defense. Now, I think Boston's perimeter defense will be better. I think they'll be more up into those players and not letting them feel as comfortable out there. They definitely got to go to another level. I just don't think James Harden's going to have another 45-point night. And if they don't knock down shots the way they did from the perimeter, and you don't have anything going in on the inside, I'm not sure what their answer is. Put it this way, the Celtics had more makes at the rim, 11, in the first quarter than the Philly did in attempts overall, 8 for the game. Only 8 shots at the rim for the entire game. Now again, maybe you're feeling it when the perimeter shots are falling, but if that is your model for this series, Philly is in trouble.
Can I say this too about the Celtics defense? Sure. And we can, maybe it wasn't the best last night, and that was the reason that they... I honestly thought Philadelphia made a lot of really tough shots in that game. And you saw a couple of them in that highlight right there. Shots moving away from the basket, well contested. They made some tough shots, and that's why I'm encouraged. They can't. That doesn't seem sustainable to me. What do you got for number 4?
I hope we're not playing that segment back right there where they're that's not sustainable. My 4th number is 13.3. That was Boston's turnover percentage during the regular season. Now, we all have PTSD from last year's finals, kicking the ball all over the court. The Celtics in the regular season were actually very good at valuing the basketball, and they finished tied for 6th in the NBA overall. They were actually in the top 3 for much of the season, got a little sloppy late, and what we saw yesterday was, unfortunately, just a pattern in the postseason. They've had these games. Now, they survived it against the Hawks. They had 2 big turnover games in games 1 and 2 of that series, but won. Now, for whatever reason last night, they just had the fumbles again, and in a key spot, especially right there, as Malcolm Brogdon feeds Maxey on an outlet pass and lets him go the other way. So, for me, that comes back to intensity and focus and just being a little bit more locked in. I don't know why they weren't last night. I don't think it should surprise us. This has just been the way it goes. But if they are locked in and avoid those turnovers moving forward, again, I gave you the offensive numbers to start this segment. The Celtics could have even improved that number if they take away the 16 turnovers, and especially leading to 20 points. So I don't think it'll be a big secret. Joe Mazzulla in film today probably hammered it home. Like, don't do this. Don't give them the ball. And if you're going to turn it over, kick it 7 rows deep in the crowd so you can at least go get your defense set instead of letting them leak out for easy buckets. I know that didn't sound positive, but I am strangely encouraged.
And the other thing, too, was that you would expect them to force more turnovers on the defensive end.
Yes.
I thought that Philadelphia, how many turnovers did Philly have? 8?
I think it was 6. They only had 9% of their possessions were turnovers, which is maybe one of the best numbers, I think it may be of the entire postseason. So it shows to me that the Celtics were not defensively as engaged as they need to be. So it goes back to it. Got to ramp that up a little bit.